So today is day 8 of 28 vegans. Today I'm going to have the second half of an incredible brother duo on. Adam Sud is going to be on. He's going to talk about some things today that are not only near and dear to him and important to him, but things that he's lived through, things he's experienced, and things that he has had to deal with, and things that he's helping other people deal with. So his story is absolutely incredible, which I will let him share when he joins us here. I really appreciate him and his brother and all the folks who have come on to 28 Vegans so far, and I appreciate the folks' time sharing their stories, sharing their knowledge and their experiences so we can reach out to others. So we can reach out to others and make a difference in this world. There are people that need to hear from people they can relate to. It may not be that they know Rich Roll, or they may not know Damien Mander, or they may not know some of the big names in the vegan movement. So it's important to me that I'm sharing my story because I'm in a small farm town in Ohio. Without a doubt, there's other men who live in small farm towns all over this country that have experienced some of the same things I have and have some of the same questions. So they want to know, well, how do they get where they're supposed to be? How are they supposed to make changes in their lives? So I've said it before, as a former hunter, if I can make changes in my life to where I'm no longer hunting and consuming animals, now my goal is to focus on protecting them, educating and encouraging other folks to be brave enough to make changes in their lives. Hopefully somewhere along the line that will make a difference. So I just got a request from Adam, so I'll bring him in here, and Bobby set him up the other day, so this better be good. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I tell you what, I've been excited about this since Bobby set it up, that, he was excited that he went first.
Yeah.
So now the onus is on you to just blow this up.
Well, let's see what we can do.
So for the folks who are not familiar with you and not familiar with your story,
sure,
would you kind of give a brief synopsis as far as where you were at a point in your life where things had to change or things were going to get really bad?
Yeah. So in high school, I'll get through this as quickly as I can.
No, you're right.
In high school, I developed a substance abuse issue with my prescription for Adderall. I remember when the first time that I took it as a recreational drug, it was like that. And it wasn't that I was addicted to the substance, but to what it did for me. I mean, it immediately fixed everything that I believed was broken in me and that other people didn't like about me. I was a little bit overweight as a freshman in high school, and Adderall is amphetamine. That's what it is. It's speed.
Right.
So I didn't want to eat. I just moved to Austin before starting high school, so I didn't have a lot of friends. And when I was on Adderall, I felt so confident and so invincible that I was talking to anybody, anytime. I was the life of the party. I had endless amounts of energy. I became that type A personality that fixed the work ethic issues that I had, that I was struggling with my dad. My dad and I were always fighting about my lack of work ethic. Well, if I'm on a lot of Adderall, whew, man, I get my work done. So it seemed like if I was on a lot of Adderall, it made me more of the person that everyone else wanted me to be, and to be quite honest, that I thought I needed to be.
Sure.
And it worked. I had girlfriends. My dad and I.
Oh, no.
Relationship. I'm there. You there?
There we go. Yeah.
My dad and I's relationship was rock solid, and I got a scholarship to the college that I wanted to go to. So, everything was working, right? So why would I question it? This magic pill was magically fixing everything in my life, and the more of it I took, the more the person I thought I was supposed to be, I was able to become. And then in college, things they took a turn, because anytime you abuse a substance long enough, you develop a tolerance. And I started to need more of this drug, and that need for more became the most important concern in my life. How much did I have left? How long was it going to last? Where was I going to get more? How much was that going to cost? These questions became the most important concerns in my life as the drug became more and more overwhelming. And so my sophomore year of college, I ended up dropping out and I became a criminal drug addict. I was doctor shopping, which is where you have multiple doctors prescribing the same medication without them knowing about it. It's a felony. I was forging prescriptions. I was dealing and stealing and scamming anybody I could to get things and money, whatever it was, so that I could buy more drugs. And I was consistently treating my family like garbage. The only time I would see my parents was to get money or things from them or blame them and shame them for everything that was wrong in my life. I started to live like a hoarder and developed a secondary addiction to fast food, where I would eat 4 breakfast tacos for breakfast, then lunch would be 2 supersized double quarter pounder meals, and then I would go to Whataburger and get their honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich meal. Then for dinner, it would be an extra large pizza from Papa John's with chicken strips. Then I go back to Whataburger for 3 of their breakfast on a bun sandwiches with sausage. I drink like 15 sodas a day. And the average prescription for Adderall is it's about 20 milligrams a day.
Right.
The last 5 years of my addiction, I was doing 450 milligrams in a 24-hour period. I would do this for 6 days straight without sleeping. I would enter the throes of a drug-induced psychosis, and I would end up needing to pop painkillers in order to bring myself down so that I could fall asleep. I can remember that I would start hallucinating by day 5, and I wouldn't really know what was going on. And for the last 24 hours of those 6-day binges would just be me fighting these psychosis states. And my OCD tics would get really bad. I remember one night I couldn't stand the feeling of the hair touch my ear. And so I brushed it forward and back so hard for so long one night that when I went to the bathroom in the morning and looked in the mirror, all the hair on the side of my head was gone.
Oh my God.
I had reached about 350 pounds when my dad came to me and offered me the opportunity to attend a 7-day event hosted by Rip Esselstyn. And I didn't want to go. I had no intention of listening to what this guy had to say. I didn't care what he had to say. I didn't want to listen to what he had to say, but I did know that if I went, my dad would keep giving me money. And like I said, I was not a good human being. And so that's where I went. I was high every single day that I was there. I had drugs on me the whole time. And but I listened to everything that was being said. And I listened to Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. Clapper and these luminaries talk about how if I were to adopt a plant-based diet, I could reverse chronic Western disease and I could make myself heart attack proof. I could take charge of my life. And it spoke to a core value of mine that I was fighting with, which is that I could not only be healthy, but kind. That it was not only unnecessary to eat animals, it was to our detriment. And that spoke to me. And you know what? I wish I could say that on day 7, that was it. I switched. But I was really struggling with my drug addiction, and I had so little self-worth, and I had severed every bond that had any meaning in my life from people and purpose, that the bond with my drugs was too great. And I just wasn't desperate enough. And my brother, who was on the other night, who is my identical twin and I've been incredibly close with, I can remember calling him a few times and saying, that things are really difficult for me. And I promise that no matter how bad things get, I'll never attempt suicide because I could never imagine my life without you. And I don't want you to live your life without me. But on August 21st of 2012, I'm sitting alone in my apartment. I was 30 years old. I'd already been battling erectile dysfunction for reasons I didn't understand. I had all these rashes all over my body from not showering. And, I said to myself, nothing's ever going to get any better. And you better spare yourself and the people you love the misery that you're causing. And I attempted suicide by drug overdose. I popped a handful of pills. Next thing I remember was waking up face down on the floor in a puddle of vomit in a pile of fast food garbage surrounded by empty pill bottles, and nearly died that night from a life of self-hatred, self-abuse, and self-denial. And I realized that if I didn't radically change my life, that my family was going to spend every day of the rest of theirs asking themselves why I needed to eat and drug myself to death. And I decided that for whatever reason I didn't die, I was going to take it as an opportunity to see what was possible. And I picked up the phone and I called my parents, who had every reason not to answer the phone. And when they did, I simply said, I need help. And without question or judgment, they said, that's all we want to do for you. And 2 weeks later, they helped me check myself into rehab, where within 72 hours, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, erectile dysfunction, bipolar disorder, suicidal depression, anxiety disorder, sleep disorder, and attention deficit disorder. I was put on a cabinet's worth of medication, and I was absolutely devastated because I knew that the majority of the stuff they were telling me was 100% my fault. It was a result of the choices I made in regards to what I put on my plate and how I choose to move through the world, and my choice to avoid the feelings that made me uncomfortable. And I wanted to quit. I wanted to leave. And I had a conversation with my dad on the phone where I told him I was leaving. And he said, Adam, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you do have these conditions. I'm not saying you do, but you learned from Rip Esselstyn and his Engine 2 team that not only is this reversible, but that you now know how to reverse it. And he said, if there's something about your life that you don't like, but you can do something about it, then it isn't a problem. And I learned in that moment that if I'm the problem, then I get to be the solution. I didn't have to wait for anyone or anything to start making my life better. And in rehab, I couldn't control what I ate, but I moved into a sober living facility afterwards, and that's where I adopted the plant-based diet. I transitioned to a plant-based diet, and it wasn't easy at first. I was giving up drugs at the same time, and I would get up like every day that first week, and I would go to the pantry and I'd open it up, and there'd be Fruity Pebbles and oatmeal, right? Because I was living with 12 other guys all trying to get sober. And here I am, where I know exactly what will happen if I choose the Fruity Pebbles. It's going to make me sick, and I'm going to die. I know what happens if I choose the oats. It's going to help me reverse my diseases, help me feel better, and help me feel better about myself. So why in the world did I still want to eat the Fruity Pebbles, right? Why was this whole thing not a matter of intellect and will? Why could I not know what to do, want to do it, and then that's it, end of story, life changed? What else is happening? And I read a book by Doug Lisle and Alan Goldhammer called The Pleasure Trap, where it actually helped me understand that there is a biological mechanism at play that compels every single person on this planet to seek the most amount of pleasure for the least amount of pain and the least amount of energy, right? So when I eat those Fruity Pebbles, it elicits a supernormal dopamine response. And dopamine is the chemical that is released in the brain that gives us that excited feeling we know is pleasure. But what I didn't know was that pleasure is our body's way of letting us know that we've done something biologically beneficial for us. And since we didn't evolve from the modern environment, we don't understand it. So when I ate Fruity Pebbles and popped Adderall, my body went, bravo.
Right.
Whatever
well
that
done.
was, keep doing that, man, because that was the best thing you've ever done for yourself. It doesn't know that it wasn't from the natural world.
Right.
And so all this shame was lifted from me, because I realized that the reason why I felt so compelled to continue those behaviors was because my body was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. There wasn't anything wrong with me. And over the course of 3 months, I completely reversed my diabetes and my heart disease. Over the next 10 months, I lost over 100 pounds. Within a year, I was off of every single medication I was put on in rehab, including the antidepressants, the mood stabilizers, the sleeping medications, the anxiety medications, and the ADHD medications. And it really became this backbone of my recovery. Because when I got up every single day and I prepared a meal on a plate that was about health and wellness, it was about me becoming a healthier version of myself today than I was the day before, that's an act of self-care. That's an act of self-love. That is, for me, an affirmation of recovery. It allowed me the opportunity to say to myself, I have the courage to sit with an emotion that is really uncomfortable and unknown to me. Like at the time, I believed that feelings like anger and frustration and fear and anxiety, I thought these were bad feelings. There's no such thing as a bad feeling. Their feelings are not bad or good. They simply are. And every single feeling is meant to be felt because they are part of they're part of what makes you complete. If you are a complete human and a complete individual, then you experience all feelings. And so what they are most of all is your body's way of saying this moment is significant because there's something about yourself that can be gained and learned from this moment. Sit with this feeling. Don't fight it. Don't push yourself away. Breathe through it, learn, and then respond instead of react. And I gained the courage to do that, knowing that if I could just make it through the day, even though it was tough, by being comfortable with being uncomfortable, that I could make daily change and be okay with myself. And that's the thing. It was like, why did I want to do this? What was I willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable on a daily basis for?
Right.
A lot of people will say, oh, it was your obesity, it was my diabetes, it was my heart disease, it was my addiction, it was all that. No, not one of those was the reason why I was willing to do this. Okay, I was obese. Of course I didn't want to be obese. I had heart disease. Of course I didn't want heart disease. I was a drug addict and nearly died. Of course I didn't want to die. Why not? Right? What was it about my life that I loved enough that I was willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable long enough to experience that more completely until that new lifestyle became something I looked forward to, right? I was done hating myself. I was done hating myself, and I was not going to hate my way out of a bad situation. I was going to spend every single day looking for ways to love myself into a positive situation. I don't think people ever remove negativity from their life. I think we find ways to bring in more positivity that we don't have anything left for the negative. And that's the way I looked at my recovery. And that way, when I noticed things about myself changing, when I saw my blood glucose going down, when I saw my weight coming down, when I moved in a way that I hadn't moved in a long time, I fell in love with the behaviors that enabled me to do that. And that was so important. It was about the behaviors, not the results. Because if I fell in love with the behaviors, the results would take care of themselves. I didn't care about reversing the diabetes. I knew that was going to happen. What I cared most about was falling in love with the act of putting these foods on a plate and moving my body with purpose every day and finding moments in the day when I can try and be the most authentic version of myself. If I can fall in love with those things, everything that I want in my life in terms of results would take care of themselves. I didn't have to worry about it. I just had to be patient. And as of today, I've lost 200 pounds. But probably the greatest moment that I've ever had in my entire life was after my brother moved in with me, and I watched him own his health and well-being and find the joy in doing so. And there was a moment when he came to me and he said, he's, my brother, he's brilliant. He quoted Joseph Campbell. He said to me, Adam, Joseph Campbell says that we're not so much looking for the meaning of life as much as we are the experience of being alive. And that's what you've given back to me. And I don't think anything that I ever do for the rest of my life will come close to that moment, because in that moment, I knew that I had finally been the type of person that I've always wanted to be for my family. I was able to be with my family and give them me, instead of be with them and try to take from them. And it's like every day since adopting this way of living has been a gift, even though the first 6 months were really, really hard. Not in terms of wanting to eat the fruit. I love oatmeal. I love fruit. Who doesn't like fruit?
Right.
It wasn't that. It was just, having to face the reality that I wasn't the person I believed I was, and that it was irrelevant and unnecessary to be attached to this ego that believed that I was so perfect enough that it couldn't have been my fault. Like, who cares who's right or wrong? It's not about making a point. It's about making a difference in yourself and the world. And if I could drop my ego long enough to be willing to stop trying to be right and just be right now, when I was able to do that, I learned more about myself than I've ever learned in my entire life. And every day since has been a conscious act of not trying to be right, but just trying to be and be open to everything. So I have the most incredible life. I get to work with Rip Esselstyn. I speak for all of his events. I'm a part of an incredible company called Mastering Diabetes, where we help people reverse insulin resistance through the use of low-fat, whole-food, plant-based nutrition. So we work with everybody, whether you're healthy and you want to just prevent diabetes, or you have any kind of blood glucose issue, whether it's type 1 diabetes, type 1.5, type 2, pre-diabetes, PCOS, gestational, whatever it is, we help you reverse the underlying condition, which is insulin resistance. And it's amazing. You know, we haven't even been open. The company hasn't existed for 2 years yet. We've had 3,000 people go through our program. And I want to tell you this. I want to make this very clear to everybody. I'm more than confident saying this. For those of you who may have type 2 diabetes or are concerned about type 2 diabetes, if you have type 2 diabetes and you know that your pancreas is producing enough insulin, which is easy enough to find out, you just get a C-peptide test, and you adopt a low-fat plant-based diet, you will reverse your diabetes 100% of the time. It's not even a question. 100% of the time.
How do people argue with that at this point? You can see the science, you can see the data, you can see the results repeated over and over and over again. How are people still arguing against that?
Because they don't know the fundamental biology of the disease causation. They believe that it's genetic, which it isn't. And so that's been part of this myth of medical literature. They believe that the idea that it's genetic exists in the medical literature, and it doesn't. It's in no medical literature that I've ever come across saying that we know that it's genetic and here's the mechanisms that make it genetic. Sure, there's such a thing as genetic predisposition, but that's irrelevant because the foods that you eat activate genetic expression. Meaning that if you're a person who builds fats in the muscle cells in the liver faster than the next person, well, guess what? If you eat a plant-based diet, that doesn't happen regardless of your genetic predisposition. It's irrelevant. So, like, I mean, you know, I reversed my diabetes and I was very diabetic. I had an A1C of 12. All right. Normally you don't want your A1C above 5.7. My fasting blood glucose in the morning was 390. Normally you want it between 80 and 100. So mine was 4 times the normal level. And I reversed it in 3 months. My brother, his blood glucose was in the normal range in 6 weeks. I mean, and I see this happen all the time with people that I work with. You don't have to be a victim of your diet any longer.
Absolutely. 2 things. Hang on. Hey, Joe, can you get the door? Chad's here. My brother-in-law was getting ready to bust through the door, and usually chaos ensues. The fact that you were strong enough to ask for help when you were at your lowest point, laying there in a pool of your own vomit and fast food, and the fact that your dad, after all the shit that you had put them through, was still willing to help you, is incredible on its own.
Yeah.
But then to top that off, not only do you correct your medical issues and your emotional issues and your dependency issues, you help your brother fix his health to a point where, look at him now.
Yeah, I know. He's lost 100 pounds since he started the diet. I mean, it's amazing.
This changes lives in a manner which people don't really like. Unless you've been through it and changed your life to this extreme, you can't possibly comprehend what's going on. It's tough to wrap your mind around all of this. The energy and the positive vibes that you guys put out in the world are contagious. When I met you guys in Nashville last year at Veg Fest, I wish I'd have known that portion of your story.
Yeah.
Alec introduced us and was like, hey, go talk to these guys. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, man, just the magnitude of sharing that information, because you know damn well that there are lots of people out there experiencing that same exact story, the same exact experiences, and you know what the solution is.
Yeah. Because
you went and saw Rip Esselstyn.
Yeah. The solution is this. You got to understand that, and a very good friend of mine put it really, really well. His name's David Clark. You might actually want to reach out to this guy and get him on your show. He's a vegan ultra runner who was a 300-pound alcoholic who's written several books. He's a brilliant guy. And he said that it's important to want to change your life. It's important to want to become a healthier version of yourself. It's more important to love the life that will get you there. Right?
Yes.
And that what that says is that we are all enough right now. That the hero of our journey is not the person at the end of the road, but the person at the beginning of the road. And that is why we can all do this, because we are all enough, we are all worthy, and we are all capable. There is no can't in any of us. You simply have to get up and decide what it is that you want most versus what it is that you want now. And be able to say, I will sacrifice, not sacrifice, but I will accept what I want most rather than taking what I want now until what I want most becomes all that I want. And once that happens, you will love getting up in the morning. You will love the idea of getting up, fueling your body to feel a way about yourself that you've never felt before. I'm telling you guys, self-love and self-care isn't part of the journey. It is the journey. Self-love is the, sorry, I was going to swear there, but I'm trying not to because I don't want to offend anybody. But it is the effing journey, man. It is.
Absolutely it is. And sometimes,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're right.
I was going to say, it comes down to this understanding that this isn't reserved for some people, and that some people aren't lacking things that they need to gain. We all always have everything that we need. And once we put enough value in ourselves and say that, you know what, maybe I'm not comfortable experiencing some of these emotions that have been holding me back. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of them they make it hard for me to choose to do the things that I want to do, but I'm going to be comfortable being comfortable enough so that I can sit in these emotions and breathe, because I always have that choice. And it is only in this moment that change happens, because it is only in this moment that we have a choice. And I can either say the choice for positive change is really clear and I know exactly what I need to do and I'm going to do it. Or you can say, I'm kind of emotionally compromised right now, and I don't think the choice I want to make is the right one, so I'm going to choose to sit and breathe and let this emotion pass, not fight it, learn from it, and when I'm ready to make the choice that brings positivity into my life, then I will respond. We can all do that. There's no fast pace, there's no slow pace, there's just our pace. Don't worry about if it takes you 2 years to lose 50 pounds versus 1 year. You're going to lose 50 pounds. Irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's about loving the road that you walk down in order to get to that place. If you fall in love with it, think about this. All right, so I become a runner. I become a long distance runner, and I love going out to run, right? If I didn't love the act of running, I would have never run a long distance race. But because I love the act of running, I will run every single freaking day because I love it. Do that.
Absolutely.
With the life that brings you positivity, and everything will take care of itself.
That is fantastic. I think more people should listen to that and take that advice. Just the deep thoughts and the deep inspiration that you and your brother provide, especially. I'm like overwhelmed, like eating this all in. I don't even want to say anything. I want to listen to what you have to say and let you share what you've done.
I don't want to take up the whole time. I don't want to speak the whole time.
No. This is the reason I wanted to do this. So I started this series, 28 Vegans. I wanted to showcase my appreciation to 28 vegans that have influenced, impacted, and encouraged my journey. Yeah. I still have a long, long way to go. I'm probably down 50 pounds. I'm probably carrying around at least another 50 that I need to lose. And so my wife and I, we initially started this journey because we wanted to go vegan for animals. We wanted to be active in, actually this is Captain over my shoulder. So we rescued this cow out of slaughter, and otherwise he was sold and going to be slaughtered, and he wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my connection with animals. So that's why we started. But as I started to see the change on a vegan diet, I had much improvements, but there's still a lot of improvement to make. And now that my wife and I are starting to focus on a whole food plant-based diet versus just a vegan diet,
that's the key.
We're experiencing even bigger gains, and I feel so much better. And the more that we do this, the more I want more of it, and the more I want to share more of it, and the more I want to talk to more people about it, and the more I want to do to help other people who have struggled like I have. I've struggled with weight. I wrestled all through high school and college, man. I used to be the first guy to take his shirt off. I was proud to show the guns and the abs, and now you don't want to see that. So, and you know how that feels, right? You've been there for that portion of it. There are other men in this farm community that we live in that are still hunting and still consuming animals just like I was. So like, you bring so much inspiration to this movement. to me, to people that come across your videos, come across your path, and I want to share that same excitement, that same enthusiasm, and I just really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Dude,
I get choked up thinking about it.
The feeling is mutual. I see that photo of the cow behind you, and like I was talking to you earlier, the work that I have can be frustrating, the work that I do where I'm working with people, but they have a choice, right? When I present them with the information, the peer-reviewed research, the studies, all of the information that's necessary that says, this is how you reverse it. This is the cause. Yes, you didn't know, but now you do. This is how you reverse it. If they choose to do that, they succeed. If they choose not to, that's on them, right? The souls that you work for, that you're trying to save, have no choice. And that is so much harder than the work that I do, because it's this constant victimhood that you have to work against, where no matter, even if you have the solution, you're working against a system that doesn't want it. And there's no free choice for these animals. And so, while, yeah, I get to help people, I mean, my brother says that I helped him, I reversed his diabetes, or I saved his life. I didn't save his life. I showed him a road, and he freaking ran the shit up that road. He crushed it. I didn't do anything. All I did was say, this is what you need to do. Now go do it. And he did it. He's a freaking champion. But what you guys do is just so selfless. I so greatly admire everything that you guys do. I couldn't do the stuff that my brother does. I've been with him to the vigils, and it's rough enough. Yeah, but it
is hard.
But his level of empathy, it far outweighs mine, and yet he still does it. Because, and I love what he says. He said, when people say, "Why do you do it?" It's never going to make a difference. He has the simplest, most perfect answer. He says, because it's the right thing to do.
There's no argument or rebuttal to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do you go from that when someone says something like that? And he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he shared that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Just, man,
if I can give anybody some advice, this is what I want to give you. Do not worry about changing the rest of your life. It's irrelevant. Don't even say to yourself that you're going to go vegan for the rest of your life. It's impossible to plan the rest of your life. But what you can do is you can say, for the next 30 days, I'm going to see what part of the plant-based lifestyle works for me. And at the end of those 30 days, I'm going to say, this part worked and I'm keeping it. This stuff, I need to find new solutions to this. I need to find other parts of the plant-based lifestyle that I can bring in that I might find more joy in doing. And I'll go another 30 days. Or you can cut it even shorter than that, 14 days. When you keep it short-term like that, you're focusing on the behavior that brings change. And it allows you to connect to those behaviors that you find joy in doing, and the behaviors that you find joy in eating and in moving. And then you bring those changes, you see the changes that happen, and you connect to the behaviors. I mean, my entire journey was nothing more than a series of 7-day experiments that started 6 years ago. That's how I look at it. And I don't plan on stopping. I mean, I can't see the future, but I can tell you this: there's no way I'm going to eat an animal. But that's because I gave myself the opportunity to say, this isn't permanent. Maybe this isn't permanent, but it's irrelevant. Because if I can't do the first 14 days, I sure as shit can't do the rest of my life.
No.
14 days is an experiment you can plan for. The rest of your life is a commitment you can't even conceptualize. So don't worry about it. Make the change that you know you can plan for, and then move forward after that.
I wish we were in the same room. I could give you a high five, a big hug, and just say, hell yes. You're absolutely spot on. I think so many people need to hear that. Anyone who watches this live feed, as I will repost it and I will have it up on my YouTube channel so they can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
I hope anyone that feels that emotion from you and understands what you're saying, I hope they'll share it. I hope they'll share it with as many people that'll watch it. I don't care if they'll sit down with their mom, their brother, their dad, whoever the case may be. Everybody, I think, at a point in their life until they're where you're at, they struggle with things that they don't understand because they don't understand themselves. They're not willing to recognize the problems within themselves.
Yeah.
And I think, your message of what you're doing holds that key for a lot of people if they'll listen to it. If they'll really listen to what you're saying and then listen to themselves of what they really want, they will understand what you're saying and change things in their life that make a difference for them.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it comes down to it, at the very core of all of it, it comes down to self-love. I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We bond. We have a deep need to bond with people, with purpose, with things that are greater than ourselves, that give ourselves meaning. Whether it's my purpose in life is now to help those who are struggling with disease and self-love issues and food addiction and all this stuff. Whether it's you and my brother, whose purpose in life is to help those who can't speak for themselves, and you're bonding with other people that are a part of that purpose. When those bonds are severed, we will bond with anything that gives us pleasure. Whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's a bag of smack, it doesn't matter. We will bond with it so severely that it will be frightening for us to give it up, because we'll believe that we're giving up everything. And you have to understand that those bonds that you had before that were severed are always there for you. And so if you know anybody, and all this stuff that I'm talking about, I read from a brilliant man named Johann Hari, who wrote a wonderful book called Lost Connections. I urge everybody to read it.
Okay.
If you know anybody who's struggling with substance abuse, with food issues, with diseases, with whatever it is, the one thing that all of us can do is say that we can go to that person and say, I love you, whether you're using or you're not. I love you, whether you're sick or you're not. And I will sit with you, and I will be here for you. And even if you don't want help, but if ever you do, please let me help you. But it's not about who you are as a person. It's only about the behavior, because it is only because I love who you are as a person that I want to sit with you and offer you help if ever you need it. That's it.
I don't even know what to say, buddy. Like, right now, just sitting here talking to you, hearing this, having you share this, like, I could just well up and cry. I have, my wife and I, we are new to this, and it is emotional for me at times. And I really appreciate your passion, your enthusiasm, not just for yourself, for life, but to share that with others and help people find what's important to them.
Yeah.
And to provide them the roadmap that if they choose to take it, it's there.
Yeah.
Dude, very, very deep. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the, dude, I'm just wrapped up in emotions. I am.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. It's emotional stuff, because we're talking about the authentic nature of humans.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about like the things that matter most, and that is self-love and connection to others and the world around us. When it comes down to it, that's the authentic experience of being a human. That's what it comes down to. And if feeding ourselves a certain way, moving a certain way heightens that experience, then give it a shot, right? Even if in the beginning it's really tough.
Absolutely.
Like with all things in life, they're temporary. Feelings are not permanent, and they're certainly not fact. If you feel powerless, recognize that it's a feeling. It's not a fact. It's temporary. It will pass. Sit with it, let it go. Don't fight it, though. Don't fight these feelings of fear or anxiety, because they're part of you, and it's an opportunity to learn. And you may cry through it, but that's okay. Sit through it, let it happen, learn from it. Ask yourself, okay, say, all right, I'm feeling scared right now. That's okay. I can deal with this. I can deal with this fear or this anxiety.
Yes.
What is causing this for me? And why is it emotionally so strong for me right now? Can I learn from this? And if I can, I'll learn and I'll use it next time. If not, it's okay. It's going to happen again. This is part of life. And I'll let this one go and try and learn next time. But just keep moving forward. I'll use a racing analogy. For me, if I'm running a race, not only can I not see the finish line, I never have to in order to get there. The only thing I have to do is focus on the part of the road that I can see, my pace and my step. If I keep doing that, I'll get to any finish line I want to get to. That's my analogy for life. It's not, I don't need to worry about the finish line of my life. I just have to worry about where I am right now, what is most important to me right now and what I'm capable of right now. If I keep doing that, everything else will take care of itself.
I think that piece right there is so important because, tomorrow is not promised.
That's right.
You have no idea. Just as you can't change what you did yesterday, tomorrow is not promised. And focusing on today, focusing on now, focusing on what you can control in this moment is so much more important. And I personally know that I need to do a better job at that. I know that I need to focus on that and myself and my family so much more. And I hope other people will realize that from what you've said. That's huge. Bobby on Thursday talked about the karmic debt. It's not a matter of, oh, I was so good, so good, so good. It doesn't matter how bad you were yesterday. It's that you get it right. That once you get it right, you continue to get it right every day. I think one of the things that people that try to start a vegan lifestyle is that they're worried to make mistakes.
Right.
We're all going to make mistakes, and mistakes
I make them every single day.
How many have I done on this feed itself? It's like, I tend to mumble. I tend to get carried away and distracted. But people need to focus on the fact that it's okay to make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you learn from them. And learning from those mistakes is what carries you on to the next day. So hopefully you're a little smarter than I am and you learn from those mistakes instead of repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate that. And somebody just asked, we're in Ohio. We're just outside of Dayton, Ohio, in a small farm town called Germantown. And it's funny, I had to go pick up my son in a little town that's next to us that shares the same school district. And where his school is located, it's in a small town called Farmersville. That's how rural of an area that we're in. And that's what we're up against, being people that are fighting for animals. We're surrounded by, there's a hog farm in the summer. We can smell it. It's that close to us. Everyone around us, they have livestock that they treat as livestock. That's the environment we're in. So we're in the heart of this. And that's some of the things that we face on a daily basis. My kids get made fun of at school for it. And Drew, he's 13. God love him. He is absolutely fearless in his passion, and he is so secure in his choice of being vegan that he'll take it from anybody. He tries to educate. He tries to share with his friends stuff that he brings from home. He's got friends that'll say, hey, ask your mom where she got this at. And, that's where my kids are, and I couldn't be more proud of them for that. It's incredible. I'm so fortunate to be on this journey. I'm so fortunate that my wife was strong enough to bring this to us and that I was smart enough to follow her. It has brought incredible people like yourself and your brother and Alec Peterson into our lives, that you guys all bring such wonderful energy, wonderful power, and just you guys are lights in this world that, sometimes can be dark if you focus on the dark.
Right.
You guys are definitely changing lives every day, and I appreciate what you do with Diabetes Masters. And just, man, what a wonderful way to end out Friday here, having this conversation with you today. I couldn't have asked for it to go better. I couldn't have asked for a more inspirational, rah speech on Friday as we go into the weekend. So
listen, if anybody's on the call that is struggling with diabetes or struggling with food addiction or struggling with self-love, I'm a food addiction and diabetes coach for Mastering Diabetes. Check us out at masteringdiabetes.org. And we do free webinars regularly. You can go to our website, and all the webinars that we do are on there. You can see everything that we talk about. And if you want to come meet me and hear me give my presentation live, I'm going to be speaking at Plant Stock this summer. So I will be there. It's in Asheville. So just go to engine2.com and go to events. I'll be there. Hopefully my brother's coming with me this year. And,
work on that.
Yeah. And Dan Buettner I'm pretty sure he's speaking. Dr. Cyrus Kambata. We have the doctors Dean and Aisha Sherzai, who wrote the Alzheimer's solution about preventing dementia and Alzheimer's with a plant-based diet. They're brilliant. It's going to be incredible. So yeah.
Somebody just posted that link down there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's my buddy Sam.
Sam, thank you.
He's newly vegan.
All right. Well done, brother. Congratulations. Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get there. Somebody just asked a question about 4-H, if that was still around and still a thing. In Ohio, it is.
Oh, yeah, it's still around.
Yeah, it's awful. The Gentle Barn actually has a very good video on their YouTube channel revolving a rescue from 4-H. And Captain, over my shoulder here, he was bought from a dairy that was closing down. He was the last calf sold, and then he was raised as a 4-H project. Mm. We had a friend who raised him, and when animals go to the fair, they don't come home.
Yeah.
But they had enough compassion in their life that they bonded with him, and they could not let him go to slaughter, and they brought him home. Ultimately, due to some circumstances, they made the choice to sell him at auction.
Yeah.
And I called on a Wednesday. She said, "Chris, we sold him on Monday to the auction."
Yeah.
At that point, I had to contact an auction house in hopes that I could get in contact with this person who bought him to try to rescue him. It had been eating at me for weeks, and I hadn't reached out. So finally, when I did, the auction house is like, "I can't help you. I can't give you the information. I can't tell you where he's gone. I can't tell you who bought him, nothing." So on the chance we left our information, said, "Will you reach out to them? And will you have them contact us?" And he did.
Wow.
He didn't do it out of the kindness of his heart. He did it out of his wallet.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong. There are so many things that people are driven by the dollar versus their heart versus their conscience versus their well-being. And when we went and met this guy, he had, I can't imagine the things he's done, probably a third or fourth generation farmer.
Yeah.
To see the emptiness in his eyes, it made me feel that, like, this man doing this, he's not doing it because he enjoys it. He's not doing it because he loves it. He's doing it because it puts food on the table, and that's what his dad did.
Yeah.
Breaking those traditions that you grew up doing, which is one for me, hunting. I've got a picture of myself and my dad with a deer I killed. Yeah. I have a picture of my dad and his dad with a deer my dad killed, and I have a picture of my grandpa with his dad and his grandpa and a deer they killed. Those used to be 3 highly important pictures for me, and that was a tradition passed down in my family. That's just what we did. That's how I was raised. And breaking that tradition and not passing that on to my kids is so important to me. And being brought to this life because my wife was strong enough to tell me she was done eating meat is why I'm here today talking to you. And I can't thank you enough. I can't thank her enough. I can't thank your brother enough. This has been absolutely incredible. So just keep on keeping on what you're doing and keep spreading that message and sharing that light, because it's important what you're sharing, what you're saying, what you're doing for people.
I appreciate that. I really do.
You are very welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'll get this shared out for everybody, and anyone who watches this, if there's something in here that Adam said tonight, Adam shared, something that stumbled out of my mouth, please share this to other people, because if it connected with you, it's going to connect with other people. It's going to connect with your family, with your friends. Don't be afraid to be compassionate and share that compassion. It's contagious. It is absolutely contagious. It doesn't matter if you're a 6'4" bearded man or if you're a 4'8" little old woman. Compassionism is contagious, and that's so important that we share that with everyone who will listen.
Yeah.
So, you got anything you want to close out, man? You've
I'll tell
been
you this,
fantastic to me.
The one thing that I know for sure is that the simplest change on your fork can make the most profound change of your life. And like I said before, don't worry about changing everything. Don't worry about the rest of your life. Just focus on what you can do now and what you can plan for. Find joy in the things that bring change. If it works and you find joy in it, keep it. If it works but it doesn't bring you joy, find something else. And if it doesn't work, find something else. But just keep moving forward. It's not about the finish line. It's about moving. That's it. Keep going. Learn to be open to those feelings that maybe you avoided for a long time because they're part of you. And if you want to understand yourself completely, you've got to be willing to experience everything. There's a great, someone said, I think it was actually Bianca Taylor, who is Nimai Delgado's girlfriend. She's an amazing fitness person. She said that the universe doesn't make mistakes. The universe simply allows things to come into creation and act as they should. We're not only part of the universe, we're of the universe. So therefore, none of us could be a mistake. Can't argue with that.
No, you can't. And anyone that wants to argue with that, you're wrong. So it's like arguing with my wife sometimes. I just need to realize that, sometimes there's a different way to look at things. And I appreciate you opening my eyes, my heart, and sharing this compassion that you have for life. It literally, your story is going to touch somebody tonight that sees this, and it is going to inspire them to take changes. And that's got to, what I do, I try to rescue animals and try to help people, encourage, and try different things. Well, that's changed my life. You're like, God, dude, well done. I am just all wrapped up, brother. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I appreciate that. If you need anything, you know how to find me. Your brother does too. And hopefully, if you guys get a chance, April 6th, we're going to try to be at Veg Fest in Nashville. If you guys are free, let me know, and maybe we can hook up and get together. Hit up Avo or something later.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care.
Sounds good. Have a good one. Thanks, Bobby. Or Adam. Bobby's down. He's down there talking like you did the other night. So.
Yeah, he did a mic drop emoji. You see that? That's pretty clever.
He did, but it wasn't no 70-30 comment. So
no, it wasn't.
you guys, well done. Have a good one.